I'm here to answer you guys' questions. Are we going into a Black Monday? Are the stocks going to keep on going down, keep on going up? We did just have a big candle downwards. If we zoom in a little bit more, we had a big candle downwards. It kind of got filled up a little bit more, but then the follow-up candles are more red, and we just been falling all the way down to the 550 level. We did have a bounce off and then a retest and another bounce off. So first level to look at for the SPY is at 550 level. We bounce below that, we might even get 550 or 545 to that 540. We do have almost 100 points to fall if we do keep falling. So keep that in mind, especially if we're on a Black Monday. This can be a big Black Monday if so. But with that being said, we are coming back to VWAP and we're kind of just rebounding a little bit. So keep that in mind. To the upside, look at 552, 552.5, and then the highs of 553.5. We can break above that. We could probably get 554 to that 555 level and then maybe even test 560, but that might be later on in this week. But honestly, man, we just got to see how it tests. If we can make another higher high, we might even be able to get up to those highs for today and break past it and or maybe bounce off of it once again. So just be very, very careful while trading. Have your patience and just kind of watch the 552 to the 550 level. We might be able to get another bounce off of it. And you can play a low call option and or a bounce off of that 552 to that 553 level. Just be very, very patient and just watch how it like moves. And then also have your volume indicator on just to make sure, if you get a lot of volume like right here, you could have played a put option here because you've seen a lot of volume and it just continues going down basically. But here it would have been a bad chance or bad choice. But yeah, man, just have a bunch of things open at the same time and understand it more. But let's get into some news before we get into some other supports and resistance and some plays and some stocks to watch for today. For AMD to $70 from $90. And to kind of get a better understanding, AMD is currently trading at $90, or when I seen it previously, we can get it to load, but it's trading at 96 bucks right now. We did fall a little bit, but that is kind of moving the same with SPY right now, but it did get all the way down to that $70 price target. So look at AMD to the downside. Sometimes price targets can really change, but let's get into some other news before we get into more. So first off, look at NVIDIA to the downside because we have a Chinese company developing a new AI seeking to match NVIDIA. With that being said, NVIDIA has a lot to offer, and I feel like it'll be hard to kind of match it. And we got news like this before, kind of with the DeepSeek, kind of showing that China can basically mimic our AI, but we kind of found out later on that they used NVIDIA's powerful chips with the older chips. So it kind of made NVIDIA go up. But also with that being said, with the China ban for the H20 chip, there with new chips coming out, it's going to make Nvidia look bad and maybe other companies buy from this company. So kind of doing the ban is making China kind of rebound, to say like kind of rebound, or not rebound, but make their own chips. And this is kind of what we're seeing now. So they're kind of becoming independent and not needing the US company Nvidia to like basically make chips, and other countries can buy off of this company. So keep that in mind for Nvidia to the downside. IBM to invest $150 billion in the US over the next 5 years, which is going to be, I mean, just look at IBM to the upside. We are kind of going up a little bit. We did have earnings, I think earnings coming up, or we did have it, I don't remember. US shoppers pay for Trump tariffs on Temu, so basically doubling some prices. This is good news for Amazon because Temu is basically the cheaper version of Amazon, but with the prices going up, you might as well get that next day shipment rather than waiting, a couple weeks for your shipment to come. So this might bring Amazon sales up more and just show Amazon up more with this. So some of the U.S. economic calendar. So for today, we have nothing scheduled, but tomorrow, look at the balance in goods, advanced retail inventories, advanced wholesale inventories, S&P price index, our consumer confidence and job openings. And there's some earnings for today. We have nothing really major. We did have Domino's. I think Domino's did bad because of the tariffs and stuff like that is coming out. I think I got to do a little bit more research for that. But tomorrow, before opening, look at PayPal, UPS, and Coca-Cola. And then after close, we got Visa and some other stocks. So keep that in mind. You guys can screenshot this, the earnings calendar. And then for the US economic calendar, you guys can really just look up stock calendar. And then I use Market Watch, but you can use other ones too. But I normally go through every single day with you guys on the overall Monday video, or Sunday video, which was yesterday. So if you guys really want a more overview of the week, you guys can go watch that video. But with that being said, let's get to some supports and resistance so I can get you guys out of here and get the trade in. So for the SPY, we already kind of gave you guys price levels for the SPY. And honestly, man, we're kind of getting back to that 550 level. We might make a bounce or we might make a rebound, or might make a bounce or might break below and then go even lower. and then SPY would be officially red, especially if it breaks below this 550 level. For Apple, Apple is kind of falling down and falling down even more. So look at it with that 210 level, see how it reacts. If we can come back up to it, we might get another bounce off of it and or break above it. And it's also VWAP too. But to the downside for now, look at that 208.5, 208, 207, and then that 205, and then all the way down to that 200 level. To the upside, I'll be looking at that 210, of course, 211, 211.5, 212.8, and then 215 for Apple. Nvidia, since we got that bad news, it's not really looking too bad, but we did sell off at market open, kind of rebound, and then sell off after VWAP. With that being said, look at it to the 107.8, 107, 105, and then the $100 level to the downside. Like I say in every single video, if you see the stock below 100, you can play a call option. But with that bad news, it might drag the stock down a little bit more. So that call option is kind of out of play for now, unless you see it in the $80 level and it bounces back up. Because bad news can only go so far if you really think about it that way. But to the upside, look at that 110 level is going to be key. Past that 110, look at 112, 114.5, and then that 116 level for Nvidia. Palantir was moving pretty strong. It was kind of moving like it moved the past couple of days at first until we had that big move down. But you can see, you have a big sell, kind of a buyback, sell, buyback, and then now we made new highs. And we were kind of forming that a little bit today until the market kind of just acted weird. But we did have that sell, sell, and a kind of a buyback, another sell, buyback, sell, and then we had that buyback making new highs. But then we had that big candle downwards, and it just brought the overall market down and Palantir down too. But Palantir is still holding up pretty strong, especially if you got into a little play down here, down here. I have myself a call option at that 107 level from the lows of Friday. So I'm still up and I'm going to hold mine for a little bit longer. I'm watching these lows of that 111.6 and maybe even the 110 level before I sell them, and basically sell them by being scared. But honestly, I'm thinking that this stock can hit that 115 to that 116 level, making me a little bit more money. But some price levels to look at is first that 113.5, 114.5, and then that 115 next. If we can break above that 115, 115.5, and then 116, we're going to look at it slowly, and then up to that 120, and then the highs of, I think, 126. But look at 125 first, 126.5, and then if we can break above 126.5, look at 128 to that 130 level for Palantir. To the downside, look at it from that 112, that 111, and then that 110. If we bounce below that, look at 109.5, and then 108.5, and then that 105 for Palantir. Tesla, we're kind of losing a little bit of steam today. We did almost test that 300. People are saying that 300 is still in play, but with this big sell-off and kind of came back, but it's kind of still looking like it's still at its lows. I think that 300 might be out of play for now, but maybe later on in this week, and or if we get a good catalyst, we can probably bounce up maybe to the highs, 295, and then you can test that 300 once again. We might bounce off of it a few times and then finally break it pre-market or after hours, but keep that in mind. 300 is still in play, but I'm not saying play a call option. Honestly, I think we need some better news with Tesla. I think we might have lost the steam to the upside. So do look at Tesla to the downside, 183.5, 181, 180, 177.9, 175, and 270, and that 269 level to the downside. Back up to the upside, do look at 288, 289.5, 290, 292, 295 basically, and then that 297.5, and then that 300 level to the upside for Tesla. How are we looking with Bitcoin? Bitcoin is looking okay. We did hit that 95,000, did kind of get a little rebound after that sell-off, a big buy, another sell-off, a big buy. And honestly, now just big sell off and just been selling off for a while. But honestly, man, just look at the lows and the highs, and also look at MSTR to kind of buy some option plays, and ETF IBIT. IBIT is ETF that moves with Bitcoin. Basically, we're going to be looking at that in a second. But to the upside for MSTR, look at $367, $370, and all the way up to that $376 range, and then 380s. To the downside, look at it from the lows at 360. We can bounce below at 360, 355, and 350. Like I was talking about before, IBIT, which is an ETF that moves with Bitcoin. I recommend looking at this. I think the 56 to the $57 range is 100K. I think, I don't remember, it's been a while, but I think that's the 100K range. But you guys can play option plays with this, and they're relatively cheap. and you can make a decent amount of upside with it. We're going to be looking at maybe May 9. You know, you want to get a little short-term play, but they're literally like $100 and you can make a decent amount. You might even be able to 2x. Last time I played this, I 5x my money, but that was all the way when Bitcoin was all the way down to like that 70K range, and I sold it recently. So just keep that in mind. But with that being said, thanks for watching the video. Smash that like button, subscribe if you guys are new. In my opinion, I think we might have a little bit more upside, but honestly, we don't have good enough news to move us up even more. I think we might be able to get up to that 560 range and maybe bounce off of that. And or today might be the last day of seeing green, and we might see a little bit of red today and just continue on with the week until we get good or bad news. Honestly, I think the market is going to move with news. So understand that. And yeah, basically just understand that. Thanks for watching the video though. Smash the like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.